question would then be, have you adjusted your pricing to your brand perception? And this is something I feel that is very important when it comes to branding, because a lot of us feel like, okay, maybe we have like itong gebrek eigenlijk din ons money mindset, and we don't feel that we can charge certain prices, certain premium prices. But on the other side, we want to have like a premium brand. And it's very important for you to be in alignment with your brand, as in, if you feel like you want to have a premium brand because maybe you're seeking freedom, you want to work less hours, then it's very important for you to stick to that principle and not be always lowering your prices, giving discounts. So when it comes to pricing in general, it's very important for your brand perception and your pricing have the same vibrational frequency. So in this case, how do you feel about your pricing versus your brand perception?
I mean, I think, like for me, I don't know how others that have a business have experienced that, but for me, starting a business and that, like, here on Bonaire, you don't have, it's not like something that is very common. So it's something pretty new, and it's very difficult. It was very difficult for me to set up a price for my services. A product, then you can say, okay, this is the price. But certain services, then it's very difficult. And of course, you have to build from somewhere too. So for me, sometimes I say, okay, I think this is worth more. But I also really want to get my product, my services out there. So I tell people, okay, because this is the first time I want to get this service started, I'm going to give you a starting fee, but in the future, this will be charged more. I think at the lowest slide, you have me, I'm giving a speech there, and it was very difficult. Like, okay, what do you charge for a speech, So, and yeah, this information is not available online. So you just have to go through it and find out, okay, what are the do's and don'ts. So for me, it's still a learning process.
Okay, that's nice. What I can give as a tip, I feel like you have to see like, okay, what is the value in what you're giving? Because a lot of times also when I started giving brand strategy, there is no blueprint. You have to create your own blueprint. You have to create your own way, your own road. And I feel like a lot of us who are in this situation feel the same way, because I've experienced other clients also who have the same problems. They don't know how to price their products and services. So my tip is really check out like the amount of the value. How much value are you giving, and what is that value worth? Because I feel like once you can offer a certain type of transformation, your pricing will be based on the type of value you're giving versus what's already out there. So for this category, I will give you a 3. Like it's a maybe, because we're not sure yet if you are in alignment with your products and services. Okay. You said you were relatively new. So how about the part of brand awareness? Have you already had conversations with your audience, seeing like how are you being perceived, if you already knew about your brand? So what can you explain about this part?
Yeah, when I am with groups, I hear people saying, hey, when I see purple, I know it's Vibra. So of course, immediately when I see a purple, I know it's Vibra. So this and this and that, and you're really living through your brand. Your branding is good. So these are comments that I have received from people without asking for it. And a lot of people have come to me and say, hey, I see your brand and you're doing good. This is necessary, blah, 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 blah. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback from that. And then, yeah, also people that I have not approached start approaching me now and stuff like that. So I think it's on a good road. And I try to stay consistent with with my logo, with my colors, my font. So it can be very recognizable.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice to hear. Let me just check it up. Okay. Yes. Third question, clear knowledge of your target audience. You already mentioned the part about targeting Caribbean women. Um, but what else do you know about them?
Um, well, what I know and what I try to create. I mean, I I start my events, and I know, for example, my event started 5:30, and I on a Saturday it will be at a Saturday at night, because I know Saturday during the day Caribbean women will be cleaning and doing their laundry and doing things with their children. So it's at night. I will put it 5:30. I know everybody will be there 6, so we start at 6, because that's the envelope, the secret envelope, so they don't know, but they will be on time. And I know we like food. So when you come to my event, you have nice food, you have a nice drink, cocktail, you'll feel spoiled. The vibe will be nice. So I like food, of course. So, and I think that is a very important part of our culture. So when you get there, I will make sure that you are spoiled. And there's always a little surprise, um, a gift bag. Yeah, it's now it has become a vibe that people know, okay, when they come to the event, they will get more than what they expect.
Okay, that's nice. When you added the food, you definitely know Caribbean women.
I mean,
Yes. Okay. And how about your competitors? Because you also mentioned that in your space there aren't a lot of local or Caribbean women in this space. So how did you deal with that?
well, of course, when I mean my business is running now for 1.5 year, and they are coaches, but not that do it business to customer. Most of the coaches work business to business, and then they are hired through a business to coach someone that works there.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, it is, and so they nobody does any advertising. It just does not exist here. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's different. People see my brand and they are curious about it. Um, and it's starting to go, like, people are talking about it, and then I get recommended somewhere else, and it's starting to go like that.
Okay. Oh, that's nice to hear. I think to keep the audience engaged, this part is more about industry trends. Maybe in your space, it's difficult to identify what is trending in this coaching industry because I feel like after that COVID, everybody shifted into coaching. So, are there any trends you are actively seeking, or like how do you use trends in your business?
um yeah, I mean, for me, I know there is a trend, like, oh, the independent woman, blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
I don't apply this to my business, because I am not a person that believes that independence is everything. I believe in a sense of community.
Mhm.
So I differ from that. I don't present myself as if I am a master in something. I present it like, okay, we're gonna come together, and you're going to shop a little bit from me, and we're going to work together, and all of us can learn from each other. Um, so I mean, I don't know. It's a reversed trend.
Okay. No, but I think like when it comes to branding, as long as you're doing something on purpose, as long as you know what you stand for and why you're not going with certain trends, I think that is your positioning. So that makes you stronger. So I think for everybody else in the group also, when it comes to trends, when it comes to different things that are now trending, it's not always that you have to go with the trend. For example, you can create a reel that is trendy that won't necessarily affect your branding. But when it comes to your brand itself, it's very important for you to know, okay, what are you standing for and what are you standing against and how do you want to position yourself? So in this case, Mia is choosing for community instead of the girl boss and the type of content or positioning. So that is also okay when it comes to trends. Um, Knowledge of your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and how do you use them?
I mean, I know that one of my strengths is that I used to focus on a niche group. Um, and so one of my strengths is that I focus on a niche group and that I create products in papiamento. And people are very interested in this because, yeah, they feel at home, they feel safe. And for me, Vibra is also about creating a safe zone. So you have to feel safe, you have to feel grounded, you have to feel like you can be completely yourself. And for me, language is a very important part of that. That also is, and my strength is also that I cater directly and especially to women. So sometimes a business in general will not hire me because if there are also men there, then they feel it's not appropriate, you know. But there are a lot of uh, career paths that are women dominated. So when I gave the speeches was for people that work at a kinderopvang, and this is a women dominated field. There are a lot of men, yeah, there are not a lot of men, but there are some men working in that industry as well, but it's mostly female dominated. So they hired me to give a speech, and of course the content I give is applicable for women, for females, and for men, because yeah, my colors and how I used to express myself, I think I can cater better to females. So my very specific target group can be a weakness sometimes.
Okay. No, but the other side is like when you're creating a brand, it's really about, okay, what are you standing for? What are you standing against? And I feel if your content or what your brand is all about is really about creating the safe space for women, I feel that is your strength when it comes to your brand, is because you've chosen a very specific position, and that will create then also people who are really fan of your content and your business. So that is good. Um, your brand story. What I mean with the brand story, a lot of times we have like, especially when it comes to creating content, I feel like it's very difficult for you to maintain the same story because people tend to want to experiment and want to push out different types of content, and then they forget about their brand story. So it's very important for you to have like the same narrative on different touch points. So how do you feel about that? So for example, business card, your gratitude book, word puzzle. So do you feel that you have like the same story everywhere?
Yeah, the brand is built on gratitude, resilience, optimism, and hope, and everything I do is related to this.
Mhm.
And resilience is something that it's a lot of other things can help build resilience.
Mhm.
So it's a very big pillar of everything, because if you're going to work on relaxing your body or taking more rest, um, all of this builds resilience. If you're going to focus on a nature walk, you're building, you're, slowly working towards resilience as well.
Okay, nice. And how do you feel like your general performance is around the different channels? For example, let's say you're on Instagram, you're on Facebook. How is your content performing? Who's engaging?
Um, my content performs better on Instagram.
Mm.
Um, and I get engaged mostly by followers and sometimes new followers, but it's mostly my followers.
Okay. And do you feel like you're consistent with all your media? For example, your website, business cards, social media, that you're telling the same story over and over again? Or Is it more like, okay, you have like a certain vibe on, let's say, your website versus on Facebook versus on Instagram?
No, I have the same vibe on all the platforms I'm on.
Okay. Consistent presence. I've already seen this. Same visuals, fonts, and colors. You're very consistent. Do you feel like your logo is recognizable? That, for example, if you ask like a 5-year-old, okay, like, can you draw my logo for me? Do they know what it stands for? Or
So if when people see the name Vibra, they know exactly what it stands for.
yes, but also like, for example, that it's easy to remember. That, for example, you tell, okay, Eugenique, schets the logo of Vibra, and I know exactly, okay, it's the Vibra and with the stars. Is it easy to remember?
I have no idea.
You have no idea. Okay.
I have no idea.
For the rest of the group, it's really important for you that you can have a recognizable logo, because a lot of the times we feel like we want to push everything inside of a logo. We want to we want to put all these names and icons inside of a logo, but most of the time, if you want your logo to be recognizable, it's best for you to just have a simple and clean logo so that the people can remember you and that your brand tells the story, not exactly the logo. And then, Vibra, the final question for tonight is, do you have a community of fans?
I think I have a small community, and yeah, it's slowly but surely growing.
Okay, nice. Oh, that's good, because that is one of the most important pillars of branding, because branding is really about having a strong group of fans, even though the word fan is like, oh my god, groupie vibes, but it's really about people who are really loyal to you, who are ready to buy, who are ready to engage with your content. So I feel that is very important when you're trying to build a brand, instead of like like seeing how many followers or how many people are liking your content, but it's really about people who are really close to you and trying to engage with your brand or buy from you. Yes.
I have hosted some events, and there are ladies who have come to every event, and they say, okay, I will come to every event, and they're like talking like, okay, when are we doing this? And this is it's very fulfilling, like, oh, there's a we now, okay, you know.
Nice.
And of course I would want this to expand to more, but for what it is now and what the brand has accomplished in its 1.5 year, I have hope and faith that it will yeah, it will keep growing. So yeah.
Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Well, congratulations on building your brand. I see. I can't calculate it right now. I will give you the results later. But
Yes,
I
okay,
do
good.
see that you're well on your way, and it's very good for you to have a solid brand and also like confirm that it's solid, because a lot of times I feel like people, yes, I have a solid brand, I have a solid brand, but when you ask further questions, the other people don't know where they're located, what they're offering. They don't even know how they're being perceived. And I feel like once you have those type of challenges when it comes to your branding, it's because you don't have a solid brand. So in your case, you're good to go. At this point, does the public have any questions? You guys have any questions? Yes.
Questions, comments, recommendations.
Yes. Okay, let me just have a look on the Instagram page. Even kijken. I'm going to go through your content, arriba arriba no movimento, and then we will continue with the rest of the workshop.
I see that someone has raised their hand. I don't know if
Yes.
it.
Okay. Let me come back. Yes. Safira, do you have a question or would
Yeah.
like to?
Hi. Good night. No, it's not a question. I just see you Instagram, and I like the color. It's a vibrant color, the purple one. So keep going, and I follow you on Instagram.
Thank you. Nice. And
Like.
I
Yes.
appreciate it.
Okay, let me just continue here on Instagram. So I'm going to pass through her feed, arriba, not all the details. Maybe if we have some time later, we can do like a social media audit with the group. So this is her content, very consistent, very much branded. So this is really what you're trying to look for when it comes to a brand. Yes. So it's not only the social media, it's a combination of everything. All right, stop sharing. Yes. Yes. So Mia, thank you for sharing with us. We're going to continue with the rest of the workshop. Let me share. Yes. Okay, we're back at it. So we did the whole brand audit. I created a pointing system here below of the potential outcomes. In Mia's case, I didn't did the calculation yet, but I think her brand would be keep going. Your brand is doing just fine. Other things that you can potential outcomes are that your brand needs improvement and that it's definitely time for a rebrand. Yes, so we did this already. So everybody in the group, what were your main takeaways from your brand audit? And also, what are the first action steps you're going to take to improve your branding? Anybody want to share in the comments? Okay. The second step after you do your brand audit, it's important for you to set a few foundations. Normally, when you set your brand foundation, it's not in a day or in a few minutes. So today we'll really be focusing mostly on the why. I really love this quote. It says, the two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. And I feel that this statement is the same thing when it comes to your business, because most of us, when launching a business, we start with the need, because we need money, especially if you're an entrepreneur. You know, you need money, something good renta, something good flow. But what really makes a brand is when you have a strong why. And your why is your driver motivation behind what you do and how you do it. And it's really important for you to have a strong why, because when the timing gets rough, it's important for you to have a why, because that is what keeps you balanced and grounded when time gets tough. And the way I view your why is mostly based on, there are two different types of why. You have a personal why. That is the reason for being in business beyond yourself, but it's mostly related to something very personal to you. So in this case, it could be for your kids, your children. It can be maybe for your parents. Sometimes it's for yourself. And this is because, growing up, maybe you had people who didn't believe in what you were doing, so you had to prove it to somebody. So to me, that is a personal why, the why that is really close to your heart. And the beautiful thing about a personal why is it really inspires others that are closer in your circle. But the downfall of a personal why is not everybody will care. So it doesn't reach a bigger community. And then that introduces then the second why. The second why is then your reason for being in business beyond your personal story. So instead of that, the story is really personal or related to you. It's mostly like on a collective level. So it's based on maybe something happened to you and you really stand for something that you avoid that all other women go through it, or all other people going through it. It could be related to the planet, to the earth. So that is the collective why. And in your ebook, in the bottom section, you have like the space to write down your personal why and your collective why. And the reason why I feel that you need both is because once one doesn't work, you still have the other one to fall back on. And I feel like when you have a combination of both, it's then is when you get a chance to attract a bigger audience and people who really relate to you. Yes. Does anyone have questions about the why? Your reason for being, your drive? Yes. And I feel once you and other things about your brand foundation also, I have here a few strategies for 2023 and beyond. In the recent years, I feel like graphic design has changed a lot. The newest types of graphic designing is based on bright colors, animations. I feel a lot of like pop culture trends that is very trending nowadays. But beware of trends because, for example, it could be trending now, but maybe like in 5 years, it's no longer trending. So that will mean when it comes to your brand identity, you will need to rebrand. Sustainability is also very trending nowadays. I feel like sustainability does have a longer duration. For the past, I think, 10 to 15 years, people have been trying to be more sustainable when it comes to the packaging, to the way they work or where they're ordering their clothes. So I feel like sustainability still has a long way to go. And also something that is very trending when it comes to branding is to having a cohesive brand experience. This means that your brand lives beyond the just your packaging or the interaction, but also like customer service, how you are online, where people can buy from you, your sales process. So all of these things also are part of the branding strategy for 2023 and beyond. Yes. The third step in the ebook is about creating brand advocates. And I really love this section because normally people are always talking about target audience. And I feel like target audience is very unpersonal. Like it's just like a group of people you're sectioning off and you're trying to target your product or service to a larger group of consumers that are most likely to buy your product or service. But I feel that there's nothing personal about that. Sorry, I'm just checking the ventana. Yes. Yes. Yeah, so I feel like when you have like when you focus only on your target audience, I feel like you're creating a product or service that is too broad and too not personalized enough because it's only focused on what demographics, the age, what kind of job, what kind of income. But I feel like if you really want people who are advocates and really love you and your brand, then you have to start thinking about target audience, thinking about your brand advocates. I feel like a starting point is like you start very broad and knowing your target audience. For example, okay, what are the pain points that they have at this point, and how can you bring them into the ideal state? So questions that you can ask yourself is, okay, what do they expect from you? Where are they now in their journey? And where do they want to go? I feel if you start with this, with these questions when it comes to your target audience, you have a starting point. But when you think about your brand advocates, you have to go a bit deeper. In this case, then I would explain it that you have your target audience as your base. And on top of that, you have to go the extra mile in order for you to reach your brand advocates. So the question is, how can you convert your target audience into your brand advocates? So any of you have any questions or tips how we can do this? No? Okay. Well, the best way to do this is by over delivering. You really have to over deliver. So for example, let's say if I pay for something and they gave me exactly what I paid for, then it won't necessarily touch me or make me want to tell people or recommend other people. It's when they over deliver and they gave me a very good service or more than I had hoped for, that is when I will start giving recommendations and being a fan of this product and this service. Um, but sometimes when you want to have like a brand advocate, it's not only giving or over delivering. Sometimes it's just the basic things that you have to check if it's working, like the bare minimum. So I created a checklist where we can go see in our content in our website and stuff to see if everything is working, because I really hate it. It's like a pet peeve of mine when I go to check out something and the link is broken, the website is not loading. And because this really takes away from the customer experience. And when you're trying to create a brand advocate, it's really important that you give them at least the bare minimum. So I would say, like, let's take like 5 minutes just to go through the checklist and to see if everything is working properly, and if there anything that has to be fixed or improved right away. Yeah, it's just 5 minutes. I'll put on some background music. Yes.
Eugenique, I have a question. Is that possible? Wait a minute. Eugenique, can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Um, Let me just pause the music. Yes.
I I have a question though, because you were just talking about over delivering, but sometimes, and I'm just starting out, I don't think I even have 6 months in business, but sometimes I do wonder, like, how do you get to know what people want? Because sometimes they don't even know what they want. Before you can start, over delivering, because I do ask those questions, but I think the core of my question is, how do you know that when you have the right data to start over delivering?
Mm. I think this is a very good question. the first thing that I would recommend is really just to know, like, what is the bare minimum. In your case, I know it's about salsa, I know it's about music. I'm a dancer too. I haven't danced in a long time though. But the bare minimum when it comes to dancing is mostly your dance floor, the quality of the music, having a good sphere. So you have to imagine, like, when it comes to your business, for everyone in general, you really have, before you start to over deliver, really focus and stand still, like, okay, what is my bare minimum? Because in Curacao, for example, we don't have a lot of good dance floor, about good DJs, good music. So that's always a challenge. So you have to create in your concept what's your bare minimum. That is what your brand stands for. And if you deliver that, you know that as delivering the bare minimum, everybody will be happy at that rate. And then when you're going to think, okay, how can I over deliver? Then you have to go think, okay, what can I give extra to give a better experience than I already do? What experience is above and beyond when it comes to my branding? Because you have to imagine it, over delivering and having your business, they hold hand together. It wouldn't make sense if, for example, you decide, like, okay, every month I would have like an international artist coming in, blah blah, because then, you know, from the business part, it's not profitable. So then it wouldn't make sense to over deliver in that sense. So it's really important for you, when you have like a business, try to think that, okay, what's my bare minimum? That's my quality. This is the quality I stand for. And now when I think I want to over deliver, now I can over deliver. Yes. Anybody else has any question? We have 1 more minute and then we'll continue. Okay, we're coming back together. So how was that, thinking about or at least revising to see if everything was working? Autoresponders. I recently installed a bot on my Instagram page, and I realized on some days my bot is faster than me. So I have to see how I'm going to tweak that relationships, because I really do appreciate responding first. Also, I think it's good for you to take some time. Maybe in this session it's not possible, but to really revise your contracts and disclaimers, because that helps keep you in good business. Also review your customer service, and then think about ways how you can surprise and delight your clients. Yes. The secret to having a brand advocate is to understand what your clients expect from you, and then to over deliver. Yeah, so what we just explained. And I think a few ways that you could over deliver is to really review your onboarding process, especially if you are a service-based business. Also think about ways how you can give your client a good service or a better service. Review your offboarding process. And why is offboarding important? Because I feel a lot of times when we finish working together, it's like, okay, I accomplished something, we're done. But you forget that when you're building a brand, it's when these people are offboarded correctly, that is when they come back without you having to promote to them, market to them. So it's really important for you to have a good relationship with your clients, even when they're not your client. And the final way also, when you can over deliver, is to think about ways you can delight your clients. So think about maybe gifts, maybe a thank you email. Sometimes it's a small thing, so it's not necessarily always that you have to go back and invest in these people, but it's really about maintaining a relationship. So when I think about delighting, it's about that relationship. In this section, I want to talk about design. The reason why I want to talk about design, even though we're not going to in the depth of designing, because I feel it's very important for you to be able to understand what the main goal of designing is. A lot of time we think we just need like pretty visuals. We want to spend a lot of time, DIYing, changing all those link in bios. This time it's Linktree. Tomorrow it's in Canva. Over another week, we're going to try out Beckons. And it's very important for you to be focused when it comes to your business and not constantly DIYing things, because we think it's important for the audience, even though design is important. It's really more important that we are focusing our energy in the right things. Constantly DIYing your visuals will leave your brand looking really misaligned. It will look unprofessional. You will think sometimes it's like it's too busy, it lacks a focal point. So it's really important for you to be focused when it comes to designing, and really know, like, okay, what is the reason why, before you decide to be DIYing and tweaking things when it comes to your business. And because once your brand is being perceived as cheap or unprofessional, it's going to be very difficult to get in some leads and lead to sales. So that's the main reason why you should not be tweaking and focusing with your brand all over the place. And like a reminder for your design, it's really important for you to know, okay, simple is best. So sometimes I remember when I started branding, I used to create my content in Photoshop and Illustrator. And in my mind, in my perception, I was thinking, like, okay, I'm a graphic designer. I must have great graphics. I must see professional, blah, blah. And this was then a problem, because even though I did know the design principles and why I had to be focused, my ego was bigger than that. So what was then the problem? I was then too long busy with designing. So maybe for one post, I would be like 3 to 4 hours. And if you're focusing so much on the design also, that will not lead into creating a community or sales. Yes, another goal of your design is for it to attract people. People love to see beautiful things. If you have a well-created feed, especially on Instagram, people will come in with your content and will stay, hopefully, because they like the in-house. With your design, you can influence the perception. So for example, if I have a lot of content standing on stages, you will see me or view me as a very, like a speech, like a leader. But for example, if I do other things, that will also create like a perception of you. So be mindful of the way you want to be viewed, especially when you're creating content. And also with your design, it's possible for me to recognize you, especially if you're consistent with your colors, your fonts, then it will be easy for me to recognize you in your content or what you're pushing out. I created this, okay, it's an eye. I created this because I feel a lot of people really, they freeze once they have their logo done. They feel like, okay, I have a logo, so that means I have a solid business. I'm ready to launch. I have a great brand. But with this image, I want to illustrate that you have different layers to your brand perception. So on the outer banks of the eye, so like what you see, the visual parts is you have the logo, your mood board, your color palette, brand patterns and fonts. That is the outer side or the outer part of your brand. That is the least important part of your business, even though it does help because people are visual beings. But it's very important for you to understand that this is not important, because if I take all these things away, in this scenario, I will still have my why, my positioning, my brand values, brand story, goals, messaging. And this means that you still have a brand. So my takeaway is for everybody who is constantly asking me about, okay, hey, Eugenique, may branding tabong, kumita, wait, like all these questions. I think it's very important for you to just relax, like, a little say tranquilo, and really know that your brand is way more than just your logo or how you're being positioned on social media. Um, yeah, so with this, I think it's important, like if you can do something with it, like in the ebook, go back, maybe check off the things you have, maybe put exclamation mark on the things you don't yet have, and work on the things that you're missing, because I feel like it's when you have all of this together, it is then that you have a strong brand positioning or perception towards the audience, and not the other way around. Do we have questions so far? Questions about maybe your design? Yes, okay. Thank you. Yes, Vibra?
What do you mean with brand voice?
Okay. When it comes to branding, the best way I can explain it is that especially now the way branding has shifted, branding is really based on creating human connections. And even though you have a business, something corporate, you have to start viewing your brand as a person. So when we're talking about a brand voice, it means the way your brand communicates. If is your brand friendly? Is your brand creating jokes, or is it very struck onto corporate? Because it depends on how you're talking to your audience. That's the way you're going to be perceived. Yes. Are there any more questions? Ito deadlock?
See.
Yes. Are there more questions?
Messaging.
Yes. Okay, so I created a short checklist that you can view in your branding. It's important, especially when it comes to logos, for you to have variations of your logos and to use them correctly, because I feel this is something also very easy to fix when it comes to your branding. But a lot of people, they have just one logo and they try to shift it and squeeze it at every corner they can find. That hinders your brand perception. So it's very important for you to have logo variations. Also, something I feel that can help you remain consistent when it comes to your branding is just to create a simple mood board where you have your logo, your business assets, your colors, everything put in place, so you can make sure to remain consistent through your messaging and your branding. When you're branding, of course, try to use your assets on different platforms. So for example, don't try to use like one style on Facebook and one style on Instagram, unless you really know what you're doing and you know that, for example, in this case, okay, there's a certain type of audience I want to reach on Facebook, so I'm portraying myself in this way. And there's another type of audience on Instagram, so I'm portraying myself in that way. So that is also a possibility, but really it has to be based on a strategy that you have and not just ribatira metipara. A tip I have also that can help you remain consistent is try to create social media templates. Let's just change the text, maybe the background, and then you just continue pushing out the same type of template. That makes it easier when creating content and also helps you remain consistent. And the last part is most difficult for you, because so just ask for feedback. Ask your friends, people, if you have friends in marketing, friends in branding, don't be afraid to just ask for feedback, because I think with feedback, it will help you keep you accountable and also make sure that your brand is looking nice. We're entering question. Okay. See, Safira?
Yes, I have one question. You have recommendation for a website or page or to make a logo?
Yes and no. I can give you a good tip, maybe for other people who want to focus on creating a logo. Canva is a tool that you can create everything. You can create websites on Canva. You can create your visuals. I use Canva for everything. So I put my ego aside for using Photoshop. I really use Canva in everything. But there's one tip that you have to take really to your heart. When considering a logo on Canva, try to be more creative than just what you find on Canva and really make it your own. Because as a designer or somebody with a design background, I can see those Canva logos, jaleo. They are really recognizable. They are all the same Canva vibe. And because we know that everybody's using Canva, those logos actually do look really cheap, even though it's look nice on the first view, the first view of it. But it's very important for you to personalize your logo. So if you decide to use Canva, seek in the library, change the fonts, change the color, change the layout, try to curate it the best way possible, make it personal, because otherwise I will really see that's a Canva logo. So that's the best advice I could give. There are other websites. I do not know the links by foi cabeça aqui. But it's really important for you to, if you decide you want to use a pre-made logo, for you to personalize it. Yes? Did I answer your question?
Yes, it's okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, social media. I really love social media. I don't talk much about social media on the Instagram because I think like 2 years back, people were asking me about content creation and things like that. And I really wanted to focus and be seen as a brand strategist. So I didn't post about content, but it's a really one of my favorite subjects when it comes to digital marketing. I want to give you a few tips about content, especially when building a brand, not necessarily doing something else on social media. I feel like when it comes to brand building, there are 3 types of content you really have to be focusing on when creating content on social media, which comes back to attraction, showcasing your authority, and action, which is related to sales. And I feel like as a entrepreneur, when positioning yourself on social media, this is the key for you to be seen as a professional or authority in your niche when creating content. But the problem that I also see a lot is that people, they perform mostly in the action part. So if you look at this list, for example, you launch a business today and tomorrow the first thing you're trying to do is to push out some sales. And when it comes to content, you really have to go through this fictional funnel that you will create certain relationships with people. I'm going to showcase you how to use the AIDA method. So yeah. AIDA, I've learned this method from Christo. He's an online business coach that really focuses on delivering value first. And what I like about the AIDA method versus all the other marketing methods is that this one is really focused on 4 steps, which I can easily remember and which also makes sense in the day and age we're living when it comes to content. So I'll give everybody a few minutes to fill in their funnel. The first part of the funnel is about attraction. So when it comes to content related to attraction, really try to think and focus on, okay, how can I attract these people to my page? So don't think yet about selling. Don't think yet about being an expert or anything. It's just more about attraction. But then you have to think about attraction related to your brand. So for example, if I'm a brand strategist and as attraction, if I want to be off-brand, it's easy. Maybe I can just create something in a swimsuit, jumping in a pool, and I will get a lot of eyeballs. But if you want to be related to your brand, you really have to think like, okay, how can I create content that I can attract a lot of people before they want to sell, before they want to buy? I mean, before they want to do anything when it comes to my page. Just look at me. That's the main goal of attraction. The second step after you've attracted your clients, it's very important for you to pique their interest. That means that in this stage, try to think about engagement, think about people wanting to maybe talk to you, ask you questions. So in this stage, think about content that can really pique their interest. After that, think about, okay, how can you fill them with desire? In this stage, I always explain, like, people, like, what kind of content can you produce that will make them want to ask you questions? Questions that they're actually considering you as their coach, their mentor, that they're considering your products or services. So that is then in the desired stage. And finally, content that wants to make them take action. Yes, I will give you 5 minutes to just randomly write down the content pieces. I'll put back some music. If there's any questions, I'll gladly answer these. Yes, how did that go? Yes. For those who brainstormed a bit about their content, what they're going to post, there's also a launching sequence that you can use when it comes to content. A launching sequence is the period when you announce that you have a product or service, which I'm also going to do at the end of the webinar. You have then like a pre-launch phase, a launching phase, and then a post-launch phase. And in the ebook, I wrote a bit about this. In the pre-launch phase, you have to imagine like you have like a week of 4 to 6 weeks where you're going to promote your offer and services before you launch. This is also a time for you to create expectation and excitement towards your new product or service. And you have your launching period where you are pitching and trying to get people in and on board. And this is also the time, most of the time, where the price goes up. And then you have like a post-launch period. That's the period that's after launch. And then you thank the customers, you can share reviews, and potentially host or a waiting list or a relaunch. We already did this part. I also wanted to take some time to reflect with you on this part. Like once you created the content, what did you accomplish? Did you have like new ideas when it comes to content, or who wants to share with me? You can also just write it in the chat.
I'll go.
Okay.
I think for me it's more about being conscious about the brand values, what you're trying to portray as a business, and how to link that
Mhm.
to your content. I think that for me was the biggest takeaway, and how to create your content based on that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, Libra, you can go. Yes.
I think I don't remember where, but you said something about sharing reviews and testimonials that back up your brand. So that was interesting. And so in the meantime, I had made a post about a testimonial. So I thought that
Nice.
would be nice. So I did that.
Okay, that's nice. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else? Okay, then we will continue. And for today's final round, I would like to present you guys with my offer. It has to do with content creation. It's called Turbo Launch. It's going to be a live coaching program where I will teach you how to take your brand from, it's going to be from brand to launch. It's going to start on November 5th. I'm going to teach you a launching blueprint where I will teach you how to create content, how to create your brand and make it that is attractive, and also how to attract your clients with your content and launch. It's going to be 6 weeks. This will be the topics. The first week will talk mostly about your brand foundation, so that you have a great understanding about your brand, not only about your why, but also to really narrow down your mission, your vision, what you want to accomplish, how you want to be viewed as a brand. In week 2, we will dive deep into the part of building community, because I feel if you don't have a community, there is no branding. Week 3, we will deep dive in the part of your personality, really about your messaging, how to attract your ideal clients, your brand voice. So this is really important also when building a brand. Week 4, we will align everything together. So it's not only your foundational part, but also who are you as a brand? How can you create then your content marketing? And also how can you align your offers to your branding? Week 5, we're going then for high impact, which means learn the content strategies that convert. and week the part of sales. And then week 6, we prepare then a launch plan for your product or service or your brand in general. So you can launch successfully into the market. Yes, how will you transform? I feel at this point, a lot of people feel very overwhelmed when it comes to branding. I feel also that branding is very, it's a type of word that a lot of people doesn't really know how to grasp it. It's not tangible, that's why. And I want to then redefine the way you show up during your launching period. I want you to come out determined. I want you to stand out, and also I want to create a community of other people who are building businesses. What's included to simplify everything, it's based on branding, creating content, and launching your offer. And finally, I also have a sign-up bonus. You can sign up in 72 hours, which is 3 days. And I will also give you a free social media audit. If you're ready to launch, I will link the I will send the link into the chat, and you can sign up. Let me work here. Yeah, so everybody, thank you for being here. I hope you learned a lot. Are there any questions, any remarks, things you wish to clarify? And this is the time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. And I hope you enjoyed this session with me. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for being here. You made it very good also for sharing with us. So thank you. Yes. If there aren't any more questions, I'll be logging off in 3, 2, 1. Passo boa noite, Shonan. Thank you. Adiós.